Part 3 of Red Bottle, other parts down below. I awoke in the early hours, still enveloped in darkness. A sensation of warmth and intimacy greeted me, a soothing presence in the quiet of the night. Beside me, I felt the familiar touch of Kelly, her arm draped over me in a tender embrace as she slept. "That feels nice," I whispered softly. The comforting motion paused. "Just nice. Isn't it more than that? It's always wonderful with you. It's the love that makes it special," I reassured her. "This is my commitment to you, John. I don't want to share it with anyone else. And this is my promise to you, my devotion. I don't want anyone else but you. I promise I won't ever again," she said, her voice tinged with regret. "Should I stop?" "Just a little longer," I replied. She tightened her grip. "No, you need to stop now." Her change in mood took me by surprise. I gently removed her hand. "You don't get to decide that anymore. Remember, you were the one who diminished the significance of our intimacy. I've apologized for that," she said quietly. 5 times, Wendy, with 3 different people. Do you expect me to just forget? Maybe I should seek the same from others. How would you feel about that? No, I don't want that. I want to be the only one for you. I've committed to Kelly, and I intend to honor that commitment fully. Do you understand? No, that's not fair. You've been unfaithful, and now it's common knowledge. That's not fair. How about this? For every person who knows about your indiscretion, that's one more time I'll seek comfort elsewhere. Is that fair? I don't want us to fight. If you really love me, you'll stop. This is too painful. Talk of humiliation. No one needs to know about our private matters. Unlike me, you don't have to face the gossip and the judgment. How am I supposed to face our colleagues, knowing they're aware of what happened? It's not just about me, Wendy. It's about my dignity and how I'm perceived at work. No, it's not what you think. I would never betray you, no matter what anyone else did or said. So you're saying that those actions weren't unfaithful, that they didn't mean anything. She fell silent. Just try to sleep, Wendy. Please, just let me be and sleep. I turned away from her, drawing Kelly closer to me. I held her gently, feeling the delicate curve of her form against me. As I drifted back to sleep, I was vaguely aware of Wendy's tears, but my empathy was limited. She still didn't seem to grasp the full extent of how her actions had affected our lives. Morning came with a flood of sunlight. I was lying close to Kelly, feeling a natural morning warmth. I felt a tug on my arm and turned to see Wendy. "Embrace me, John. Please, I need you to hold me. I'm frightened." I let go of Kelly and turned to my wife. Wendy curled up beside me, and I wrapped my arm around her, feeling her cling tightly. "I still love you, despite everything. You might have shaken our foundation, but my feelings remain," I whispered, gently kissing her shoulder. "Just for this weekend, then it ends, right?" She murmured. "I hope so. What do you mean?" she asked, a note of anxiety in her voice. "It ends when you truly understand the consequences of your actions, the depth of the hurt you caused. I'm hoping that realization comes before the weekend ends. I do understand, John. I've hurt you, and I'm deeply sorry." "Quiet, not yet. You don't fully understand. Let's go back to sleep. We'll talk more about it later, okay?" She nodded and held onto my arm even tighter. I closed my eyes, trying to push aside the troubles that were weighing on my mind. Soon, I felt the comfort of a presence at my back and a gentle arm encircling me. The sensation of being nestled between 2 people brought a sense of peace, and my thoughts drifted towards planning a nice brunch. When I woke up, I was alone, startled by a sudden tug on my foot. Opening my eyes, I saw my wife Wendy and Kelly at the end of the bed. Wendy appeared troubled, while Kelly looked distinctly upset, her hand firmly on my foot. Sitting up, I asked, "What's happening?" Kelly, with a frustrated look, turned to Wendy. "She's telling me that you don't need my company anymore. She offered me money and talked about getting a taxi. Is that true? Why didn't you tell me directly?" I tried to clear the sleep from my voice. "That's not true, Angel. Wendy's just feeling insecure. She's come to realize that her actions were wrong, but she's struggling to come to terms with the implications for our marriage." Wendy interjected sharply. "John, how can you accuse me of lying?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Because you weren't being honest, Wendy. I've never lied to you. Kelly needs to leave, that's the end of it." "No, Wendy, what you're saying isn't helping the situation." Wendy moved closer, her tone desperate. "Can't we just stop all this? I understand now, I really do. You're saying that doesn't change the situation, Wendy. Let me be the one to make it up to you, not her. You had the chance last night, but you chose differently. I can't let that happen again. Besides, when was the last time you approached me with the same enthusiasm as Kelly?" Her voice was filled with distress. "But I've always been there for you in that way. I've always tried to make you happy." "When did you last initiate it? When was the last time you approached me with that kind of desire?" I asked, gesturing towards Kelly, who seemed much more eager. "About 3 weeks ago, remember?" she replied. "That was the last time, but I was the one who initiated it." "When was it last from you?" She shook her head, unable to recall. "I don't remember. It's been nearly 6 weeks. And when did you first get involved with Tom?" After a pause, she answered quietly, "About 5 weeks ago." 5 weeks? Where did that happen? Her voice was low. "During our barbecue at home." I was shocked and hurt. "At our own house, during a gathering." "Wendy, how could you?" She seemed regretful. "I wasn't thinking straight. He was insistent, and it just happened. It was a mistake. I'm sorry. So you didn't feel the need to turn to me anymore. Right now, I don't feel the need to turn to you either. Wendy's anger flared up. If you don't stop this now, I'll find someone else who appreciates me. I'm not stopping you. Kelly's here, and she's committed to being here. When you chose Tom, it showed where your priorities were. I do care about our marriage. We have a family to think about. You keep saying that, but actions speak louder than words. I can't just take your word for it anymore. Wendy turned to Kelly, her voice raised. Can you at least pause while we're discussing our family matters? Kelly was unfazed. He's okay with it, and as long as he's occupied, there's no rush. You two sort out your issues. The tension in the room was palpable as the conversation continued, each of us grappling with the complexities of our strained relationships. Please, John, can we just stop for a moment and talk? I thought we'd discuss everything later over brunch. Just let me have this moment of peace, and then we can talk, okay? Upset, she stood up. When did you become so cruel? I guess it started when I realized I was married to someone who wasn't honest with me. Remember, with frustration, she left the room. Meanwhile, Kelly, undeterred, continued to engage with me in her own playful manner. It's all for you. Remember, you said that this kind of intimacy doesn't count as cheating, right? Though it felt questionable, given the current circumstances, I couldn't deny the allure. It had been years since I'd been this close to anyone but Wendy. Kelly's enthusiasm was evident, and I found myself responding. As we continued, Kelly's reactions grew more intense. She seemed genuinely affected, a stark contrast to her usual demeanor. I could sense her reaching a peak of emotion, a sign of genuine connection. After a moment of intensity, she calmed down, then shifted to face me more directly, her expression softer. She kissed me with a sincerity that was new to our interaction, her touch gentle and exploring. Eventually, she broke the kiss. That was incredible, John. You didn't have to, but I'm glad you did. I wanted to, I replied. She teased, and when did you decide that? Pretty much from the moment you walked into my house. I looked at her curiously. You're so much more than what you portray. Why do you do this? She paused, her affectionate gestures. Yes, I do what I do for a living. It's not easy to admit, but it's the truth. Her tone was tinged with sadness, but she quickly brightened and gave me a quick kiss. But you know, right now, I'm here with you. How about we just enjoy each other's company? I promise, I can make it worthwhile. All I really want right now is to just hold you. Is it all right? I asked. Her smile turned genuine. I'd like that too. So that's what I did. I held her close, feeling her warmth and presence. She whispered after a while, maybe we should stop this. Why's that? Because you shouldn't get too attached. I won't be around forever, and it's best if we keep things simple. What if I want to keep seeing you? I questioned. She shook her head. I can't be the reason your marriage falls apart. You and your wife have something, even if it's hard to see right now. Don't let me be the cause of any more trouble. Just a few more minutes then, I suggested. She agreed, that would be nice. After some time, she stood up, her usual facade returning, but it was clear there was more beneath the surface. All right, I'm going to freshen up. Maybe you could start on breakfast. I laughed, giving her a hug. Sure, a nice bath sounds good for you. And breakfast is on me. We'll talk more later. Really? She asked. Absolutely. Go and enjoy your bath. I'll handle the cooking. She chuckled. All right, don't forget the bacon. I watched her leave and then went to look for Wendy. I found her in the kitchen, just finishing a phone call. When she saw me, she quickly ended the conversation. Who were you talking to? I asked. Just someone, she replied vaguely. In a moment of frustration, I took the phone from Wendy to check who she had been talking to. You were talking to your sister. Hasn't she been involved enough already? Are you really going to blame this whole situation on her? Wendy retorted. I called the number back, and her sister, Alice, answered. Before I could say much, she hung up. Handing the phone back to Wendy, I said firmly, I need to talk to Dave. If I don't in the next 5 minutes, I'm seriously going to reconsider our situation here. Wendy looked stunned. You can't be serious. I am. Either I talk to Dave, or we need to rethink everything. She protested. I can't force her to make him talk to you. Then convince her. I'm tired of this back and forth. The clock's ticking. Wendy hurried out of the room with the phone. Meanwhile, I started preparing for breakfast, setting out various items and heating up the waffle iron. She returned shortly, agitated. He's not there. I can't make him appear out of thin air. You've still got time. Figure it out, I replied, keeping my focus on the breakfast preparations. Wendy dashed out again, returning even more frustrated. She won't help. She refuses to get him on the phone. Well, it looks like she's more interested in her own affairs than helping our marriage, I remarked. You might want to get dressed properly. It's not a situation to be taken lightly. Stop this, John. Just stop. Your threats are going too far. You're pushing everything to the brink. No, Wendy. The damage was done long before, with your sister's influence. I continued cooking, adjusting the breakfast preparations. I've been trying, John. I really have. But it seems like all you're interested in is being with other people. If you want a divorce that badly, then fine. I'm leaving. Maybe you should call your sister, see if she can offer you a place to stay. I will. and I'll make sure you regret this. I'll take everything I can, including our daughter. You'll pay for this." Her words sounded like echoes of her sister's advice. That sounds exactly like something she would suggest. "You're accusing me of cheating, but you're the one who's crossed the line by bringing someone else into our home. Go ahead, call her. Let her know your plans." Her anger peaked. "I hate you," she yelled, turning away. I continued with the breakfast, then checked on Kelly. "How would you like your eggs?" "Over easy, please," she replied, relaxed in the bath. I left a shirt for her to wear. "Put this on after. It'll look great on you." She smiled. "I love wearing a man's shirt. Is Wendy really leaving?" "I doubt it. She's acting in the heat of the moment." She seemed disappointed. "I was hoping we could finally have some time to ourselves." "Who knows? I need to get back to the kitchen." When Wendy came back, she looked defeated. "She won't let me stay with her." Figures. She wouldn't want to raise any questions at her own home. I offered her a comforting hug, which she eventually accepted, breaking down in tears. "Talk to someone who really cares. Maybe your mother or Marcy." "Why should I talk to Marcy?" "Because she's been through both sides of this. She's been cheated on and she's cheated. She knows how to keep things confidential and she'll understand your situation. Plus, as far as I'm aware, she hasn't been involved with any indiscretions with you." "Do I really have to leave?" "No, you don't have to leave. I'll try to speak with Dave. But you need to stop listening to your sister. You see that, right?" "I'm not sure. She's just trying to help." "Talk to your mother. Tell her everything. Then you might see things more clearly. You don't even get along with my mother." "True, we have our differences. But I respect her and your dad. They love you and our daughter a lot, almost as much as I do. You're not going to get involved with Kelly, are you?" "Kelly, as you call her, has shown more concern for our marriage than your sister. Even after everything, she's been more considerate. She wouldn't cross that line if it meant harming our marriage." At that moment, Kelly entered, wearing my shirt and drying her hair. She came over for a kiss, which I couldn't resist. "She's right," Kelly said. "I wouldn't get involved if I thought it would harm your marriage. Maybe we should talk after breakfast." "Why would I talk to you?" Wendy retorted. "Because I want to help, without any judgment. I understand a bit of what you're going through. You don't want to end up isolated and alone. I would never become like you. It's not about that. It's about not ending up alone. Let's talk after we eat." "I'm really hungry," Kelly added with a grin. "This job isn't easy, you know." So we sat down to eat, setting aside the heated topics. No mention of infidelities or harsh words. We talked about our daughter, our home, my work, and even the prospects of the Redskins improving. We discussed art and ideas for the dining room. It was a surprisingly normal and civil conversation. After we finished eating, Kelly stood up, expressing her thanks. "Can we hold off on our previous arrangement for a bit? And would you mind taking care of the dishes?" "Absolutely. Take your time talking. I'll handle the cleanup and catch some football." This might not have been the best idea for the moment, but I proceeded to tidy up and then decided to take a shower. When I came out, I noticed the girls had been busy talking in the bedroom, which was now neat and tidy. Kelly had borrowed an outfit from Wendy. As I entered, they stepped out, still engaged in a quiet conversation, giving me space to use the bathroom. After freshening up, I went back to the family room. The atmosphere changed as I entered. The girls became quieter and returned to the bedroom. They each paused to give me a quick kiss, a pleasant surprise. I settled down with a couple of beers, watching the Redskins pull off an unexpected win, thanks in part to our rookie quarterback, RG3. Feeling peckish, I decided to prepare a snack for the second game. It was clear they were having a deep discussion, and the phone rang a couple of times, promptly answered. I resisted the urge to eavesdrop or inquire, hoping they were being thoughtful about their conversation partners. Thinking it would be nice, I prepared a tray with snacks and a bottle of Wendy's favorite Pinot Noir. Approaching the bedroom, I could hear their lively chatter. "Come in," Wendy called when I knocked. "I'm not trying to interrupt, just bringing some snacks," I said, trying to be non-intrusive. They were sitting closely on the bed, knees almost touching, deeply engaged in their talk. "I'll leave this here for you. Just let me know if you need anything else." Kelly, with a smirk, turned to Wendy. "Doesn't he seem like a man who still cares deeply for you?" Her comment caught me off guard. I moved closer to Wendy. "You don't really doubt that, do you?" She looked uncertain. "I'm just so confused right now, John." I wrapped my arms around her. "I love you, Wendy, more than anything. Don't ever question that. You're the most important part of my life." After giving her a reassuring kiss on the cheek, I added, "I'll be downstairs if you need me." Kelly followed me to the door. "Sorry this is taking longer than expected. It might be a while longer. Is it all right?" "Absolutely. Chinese food sounds good for dinner," I replied. They both seemed agreeable to the idea. Then, Kelly came over and embraced me warmly. "Things will work out, I'm sure of it," she assured me, pulling me into a quick kiss. "So, did we win the game?" I grinned. "Absolutely, we did great." She raised her hand for a high five, which I gladly returned, and she did a little celebratory dance, her enthusiasm infectious. I chuckled at her spirited display and decided to give them some space. The two of them tidied up after their discussion and spent some time on the porch, although I doubted they would stay long due to the chill. During a break in the game, I glanced outside and saw they had moved to the yard, embracing each other. It was a surprisingly tender moment, not what I had anticipated, but I chose not to intrude. Later, when they came back inside, it was evident they had both been crying. "Is everything okay?" I asked with concern. Wendy approached and sat on my lap, wrapping her arms around my neck. "Not yet, but it will be. I promise." She kissed me with genuine affection, and I embraced her. "I love you, John. You mean everything to me." "I love you too, Wendy," I replied, returning her kiss. She mentioned that her mom had picked up our daughter, Jeannie, giving my mother a break. "We don't have to pick her up until tomorrow afternoon." "I do miss her," I admitted. "Me too. It's good for us to have this time, to understand what we could lose." "Don't talk like that. We're going to work things out," I reassured her. She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you for everything. I couldn't ask for a better partner." She kissed me again, then stood up. "I'm sorry for the mess I've caused." "We'll get through it," I said, encouragingly. She smiled weakly and returned to the bedroom. Kelly then came over and took Wendy's place on my lap. "Can I have a hug too, please?" I embraced Kelly, returning her gentle kiss. "Thank you," I murmured. She responded with understanding. "She'll come around. She really loves you. It's just been tough for her." "I wish none of this had ever happened," I confessed. "Don't worry. You'll both come out of this stronger," she reassured me. I hugged her again. "You're surprisingly insightful for your age." She smiled. "Age is just a number, John." After another brief kiss, she left to find Wendy, leaving me in a reflective state. As the fourth quarter of the game began, I called Hunan Palace to order dinner, choosing a variety of dishes to ensure there were plenty of options and leftovers. After placing the order, I knocked on the bedroom door to let them know. "The food should be here in about 30 to 40 minutes, I announced. Kelly opened the door with a grin and playfully pulled me inside. Perfect timing. She then proceeded to joke about the earlier arrangement, but her tone was light and teasing. Wendy was in the room too, and she seemed to be in a better mood, sharing in Kelly's playful attitude. Kelly and Wendy both helped me out of my clothes in a lighthearted, teasing manner. It was a change from the recent tension, and I decided to just go with the flow, not asking any questions. Kelly, still in a playful mood, asked, ready for some amazing care and attention. I replied with a smile, "The best has always been from Wendy." Kelly laughed heartily. "That's the spirit." She then jokingly set a new rule. "From now on, no more of that unless it's just between you two. No exceptions." I laughed as Wendy and I settled in, enjoying the lighter, more affectionate atmosphere that had taken over. I was curious and asked, "Why did you undress?" Kelly responded with a light-hearted tone, "I'm just adding a bit of visual appeal. Have to justify my presence somehow." She snuggled close to me, her head resting on my shoulder as we both watched Wendy. It was clear from her actions and constant eye contact that her every move was a demonstration of her affection and commitment to me. Kelly observed quietly, "She really is exceptional, isn't she?" "Always has been," I agreed. "And why did you praise me earlier?" "You were incredible, Kelly. In terms of skill, unmatched. But what Wendy brings is more than just physical. It's filled with love, and that makes all the difference." Wendy then stopped and moved up, taking my hand and placing it on Kelly's form. "I trust you," she said with a smile. "Enjoy yourself." Her gesture took me by surprise, and Kelly chuckled at my reaction. Wendy continued her tender ministrations, and Kelly pressed back against my hand playfully, saying, "It's all included, right?" Despite Kelly's allure, I found myself more focused on Wendy's actions. Her approach was less about intensity and more about expressing love, which was deeply satisfying, though not necessarily leading to a quick climax. Kelly whispered, "I'm a bit envious. I wish I could be in her place." I leaned in and shared a lingering, passionate kiss with her. "You've done more than enough, Kelly. We're both grateful. Just keep me well fed and don't forget a good tip," she replied with a wink. Just as Wendy's efforts intensified, the doorbell rang, disrupting the moment. I felt a mix of frustration and relief. Kelly sprang up, ready to answer the door. "Don't stop on my account. I'll handle it. The meal's already paid for," I reminded her. "Just need to sign for the tip." Kelly's playful attitude was contagious as she did a little spin. "Think this is enough of a tip for the delivery person?" I reminded her, "Remember, not all delivery people might appreciate that." She just grinned mischievously and raised an eyebrow in response. Before I could say more, the doorbell rang again. "Go on, you cheeky tease," I urged her. She left the room laughing, clearly enjoying herself. Meanwhile, Wendy, perhaps taking the interruption as a cue, focused on bringing me to completion. Her experience and familiarity with me made it an achievable task. Afterward, she lay beside me, her head resting on my stomach. I was able to stroke her hair and caress her, comforting intimacy. Despite a fleeting, unsettling thought about her past indiscretions, I focused on the moment. I was confident that what we shared was unique and more profound than any physical act she might have performed with others. Nevertheless, it was a bit troubling to think about, but I pushed those thoughts aside. Wendy continued with her tender attentions, aware of my approaching climax from the changes in my sounds. As I reached the peak, she increased her efforts, resulting in a fulfilling moment for both of us. She playfully engaged with me after, seeming to be in her own world of joy. Kelly returned then, feigning disappointment at missing the climax. Oh no, did I miss all the fun? Wendy, still in a light mood, responded, not too late for a bit of cleanup. Kelly joined in with enthusiasm, adding to the playful atmosphere. The sight of Wendy and Kelly together briefly reignited my arousal, but Wendy pulled back with a laugh. That's enough for now. We've got dinner waiting, and more to discuss. There'll be time for more later. I appreciated the moment. That was really something. Wendy came up to kiss me. The best. I realized she had been listening to our earlier conversation. That's not fair, eavesdropping. She nodded, a bit playfully. Did you really mean it? Because I saw her with you, and she was quite impressive. The conversation continued in a lighter vein, a stark contrast to the tension of the past few days. You've always been the best for me, always, I reassured Wendy. And you for me. Nobody else comes close. I made a huge mistake, but that's in the past now. I'm dedicated to you and only you, she said earnestly. Kelly, still playful, continued to tease me. I was undeniably aroused by her attention, even though she was careful not to cross certain boundaries. After a tender kiss, Wendy got off the bed and playfully smacked Kelly. Okay, time to stop. We've got dinner waiting. Kelly gave me a final teasing kiss before getting up. She then embraced Wendy warmly. Thank you for this experience. It was amazing to witness. You really know how to make him happy. Wendy responded, lots of practice, though I've been a bit off track lately. Watching you was quite enlightening. Their friendly exchange was a pleasant surprise, considering the recent tensions. Kelly joked about the importance of Wendy holding on to me, adding a light-hearted warning. Wendy laughed, looking back at me as I dressed. Trust me, if I don't, I'd be first in line to kick my own ass. The atmosphere in the house had shifted to a more joyful and relaxed tone. Kelly had set the table nicely, complete with plates, chopsticks, and a bottle of wine. We all enjoyed the meal, even playfully competing for the last pieces of some of the dishes. Halfway through, Wendy, caught up in the uninhibited mood, decided to join the casual attire trend, laughing about being the only one fully dressed. I might as well even the playing field, she said. Kelly complimented her. You're gorgeous, Wendy, and you've got an amazing figure. Wendy returned the compliment, but I felt the need to clarify. There's no competition here. Kelly, you're incredibly attractive, but Wendy is the most beautiful woman to me. Kelly took the comment in stride, even agreeing with my sentiment. The evening continued in this light and convivial manner, a stark contrast to the previous tension, marking a hopeful turn in our relationships and interactions. Wendy's blush was a charming sight, adding to the warmth of the evening. We indulged in the feast until we couldn't eat another bite, and nearly finished the entire bottle of wine. As I tried to help with the cleanup, they playfully sent me out of the kitchen, insisting they had it under control. I settled into my lazeboy, switching on the evening game. It had been a long time since I had the luxury of watching so much football in one day. The girls entered the room, their laughter filling the air. They playfully jostled each other to see who could reach me first. Wendy made it to my lap first, though it seemed Kelly might have let her win. Wendy straddled me, playfully pressing close, her laughter infectious. I love you so much, John. We need to remember to have more fun like this, she said. I joined in the laughter, agreeing that we needed more light-hearted moments. She leaned down to kiss me, promising to make things better. Kelly, not wanting to be left out, perched herself on the arm of the chair, playfully nudging Wendy. Share a little, will you? I'm not here for long. Wendy gave me a quick kiss, a mischievous glint in her eye, then dashed off, giggling, leaving Kelly to take her place. Kelly leaned in close. You're even more handsome when you're smiling. We need to see that more often. It's hard not to smile with you two around, I admitted, wrapping my arms around her. Her tone turned serious for a moment. You know, you two really are meant for each other. Make sure you work things out. I'm sure we will. You've been a big help in all this. Just then, Wendy sneaked up behind us, climbing onto my lap as well. What are you up to now? I asked her, a smile on my face, surrounded by their playful energy. Wendy's playful laughter filled the room as she reached around Kelly, engaging in some light-hearted mischief. To my surprise, she playfully smeared something on Kelly, which upon closer inspection, turned out to be peanut butter. Kelly laughed at the unexpected move. Hey, what's this about? Now it's a peanut butter and Kelly sandwich, Wendy exclaimed with a giggle. Both Kelly and I couldn't help but groan at the pun, though it was hard not to smile at Wendy's antics. Come on, it's funny, Wendy insisted with a playful pout. I noted the mess she'd made. Looks like you've made quite the mess there. Then it's your job to clean it up, Wendy declared, leaning back and playfully presenting Kelly for me. Engaging in the playful spirit, I made a show of cleaning the peanut butter off Kelly and Wendy, keeping the mood light and flirtatious. The atmosphere shifted subtly, becoming more charged as I played along with Wendy's game. After a bit of this playful interaction, I declared, there, all clean. Kelly pretended to pout. But I'm still a dirty girl. Wendy, keeping the game going, pretended to find a spot I'd missed. I humored her with one more cleanup before putting a stop to the game. Okay, that's enough, or I'll get too carried away. I received a parting kiss from each of them, and they left me to return to my football game, still feeling the effects of their playful tease. Not long after, the front door opened and my mother-in-law walked in. I stood up to greet her, grateful that the evidence of our earlier silliness had subsided. "Hi, Mom," I said, welcoming her in. She greeted me with a warm smile, which was always a good sign, considering she could be quite stern at times. She approached and gave me a comforting hug. "I'm sorry for how I spoke to you on the phone earlier. I was upset, and you know how I can be." I returned the hug. "It's okay, I understand. I only reached out to you because I really needed to talk." Her next move took me by surprise. She gave me a peck on the lips. "Thank you, John. I know this situation with Wendy must be difficult. Many wouldn't handle it as gracefully as you have. You're a good man." Caught off guard, I managed a hesitant, "You're welcome." She chuckled. "Where are Wendy and Kelly?" "They're in the bedroom," I replied. She raised an eyebrow. "Kelly's really a streetwalker." I nodded. "Yes, but she's not your typical streetwalker." Carol laughed softly. "I'm going to go see them. You hang in there." She started to leave, then paused, turning back to me. "Regarding Alice, don't worry. We'll handle it. You just focus on your family." "Thanks, Mom," I said, appreciative of her support. She approached again for another hug. "You know, I used to think it was a bit presumptuous when you called me Mom, but just now, it felt right. If I had a son, I'd want him to be just like you." I couldn't help but laugh. To be honest, there were times when I called you Mom but was thinking of less flattering names. She playfully smacked my rear. "I'm sure I've deserved those names at times. Just promise you'll call me out in the future." As she turned to leave, I playfully returned the gesture with a light smack on her rear. She jumped a bit, yelping and then giggling. "Chicky, I'll let that one slide." I joked, "It might just be your charming demeanor. They say a man can tell what his wife will be like in the future by looking at her mother. I was relieved the first time I met you." She laughed heartily. "John, are you flirting with me?" Her tone was light and filled with amusement. I responded with a playful tone, just stating the obvious, "You're a catch. Ed's a fortunate man." "He sure is, but let's keep it between us. No need for him to know just how lucky he is," she replied with a wink. For the next few hours, the house was relatively quiet, except for a brief moment when Kelly passed by on her way to the kitchen. She was wearing my t-shirt again and carried an open bottle of wine. She paused by my chair for a quick kiss. "Sorry we're taking so long. Wendy wanted me to let you know she'll make it up to you." "That's all right. Are you all having a good time?" I asked. Kelly's smile was tinged with a bit of sadness. "It's not all just fun. There are still some issues to work through, but having Carol here is really helping. I'm glad she's here." "She's been a big help," I agreed. Kelly's expression brightened. "What's the best decision you've made recently?" I smiled. "Meeting you, of course." She laughed and stood up, preparing to leave. "I have to get back before Carol wonders where I am." As she left, she teased, "I think Carol might have a little crush on you." I laughed off the suggestion. Now that would be something, wouldn't it? Kelly's remark about Carol's fondness for me brought a smile to my face. "Keep your shirt on," I called out jokingly as she walked away, laughing. It was nearing midnight when Wendy and Carol finally emerged from the back of the house. They both looked emotionally drained but shared a tight, affectionate hug at the door. I approached to bid Carol goodbye, receiving a surprisingly lingering kiss from her. "Take care of him," she advised Wendy. Wendy replied with a light-hearted comment about the growing line of people ready to keep her in check should she falter. After Carol left, Wendy came into my arms. "It's been a long day. Let's go to bed," she suggested. I responded eagerly, quickly shutting everything down and joining her in the bedroom. The bed was invitingly prepared, and as I slipped in beside Wendy, Kelly emerged from the bathroom, mentioning she'd stay the night due to the late hour and having had a bit too much to drink. I offered her a ride in the morning, to which she gratefully agreed before returning to her bath. Then, Wendy, with no barriers between us, asked me to make love to her. I didn't hesitate, immediately moving to fulfill her request. As I entered her, I could feel her readiness. Our movements were slow, but full of passion, and she showered my face with gentle kisses. "Have I told you lately how much I love you?" she whispered. "You have, but I'll never tire of hearing it," I replied, lost in the moment with her, our connection deepening with every touch. Wendy's question was intimate and probing. "Do you think you'll ever get tired of me? Of being with the same woman forever?" I responded not just with words but with a deep, loving gesture, affirming my commitment to her. "Never. Being with you is everything I've ever wanted." Her smile was soft and curious. "Did you really think about what I'd look like in the future when you first met my mom?" I replied with playful affection. "You're taking our casual conversations too seriously." She continued, pressing gently against me. "The first time you saw her, you were already thinking about a future with me. Everything about you makes me love you more. And you forgive me for my mistakes." I reassured her, our bodies moving in harmony. "You were forgiven long ago. Do you understand now why it hurts so much?" "Completely," she admitted. "I was wrong, and I hurt you deeply. I won't apologize again, words aren't enough. I need to show you, to make it up to you, to work on fixing what I damaged." "We'll do it together," I whispered, but she insisted on taking the lead in making amends. She relaxed into our rhythm, her movements matching mine. "You prefer this to everything else, don't you?" I paused, capturing the moment. "Yes, this connection, being together like this, it's irreplaceable. It's not just about physical pleasure, it's about us, together." She smiled mischievously. Well, get ready. I plan to give you all the love and attention you could ever want. In that moment, as we continued to move together, there was a sense of healing and a renewed bond. It wasn't just about physical intimacy, it was a reconnection of our hearts and souls. I looked into her eyes, trying to convey the depth of my feelings for her. Our connection was gentle and profound. She closed her eyes, softly expressing her pleasure, a contrast to her usual quietness during such intimate moments. Her excitement was more visible than usual, her reactions more pronounced. I continued, carefully maintaining the rhythm, sensing she was close to a peak of emotion. She became quieter, her expression intense, her grip on my arms tightening. Her response reached a crescendo, a powerful moment of release. I stayed with her, maintaining our connection as she came back to calmness. From the bathroom, Kelly's voice broke the moment with a lighthearted comment. "Wendy," I whispered, feeling the climax of our shared moment approaching. I lost myself in the depth of our connection, each movement deliberate and full of meaning. As I reached the peak of my own emotion, I felt a deep unity with her. We lay there, feeling the aftermath of our closeness. Kelly, wrapped in a towel, joined us briefly, a witness to our bond. Wendy's eyes were filled with tears, questioning the depth of my love after past mistakes. I reassured her, affirming our unbreakable connection. As I began to move away, Wendy asked me to stay longer, seeking the comfort of my presence. I obliged, understanding her need. Our bond was deep and intuitive. "Don't ever leave me, John," she implored. I reassured her with a kiss. "You're mine, always." Kelly, joining in our moment of intimacy, asked to stay with us for a while. Surrounded by this profound love, we shared a moment of deep connection and understanding. Wendy extended her arm, drawing Kelly close in a comforting embrace. I joined in, wrapping my arm around them both. Kelly, overwhelmed by emotions, leaned into Wendy's shoulder, her body shaking slightly. Suddenly, Kelly pulled away, her voice trembling. I have to go." Wendy's grip tightened. "Please, stay a bit longer." But Kelly was visibly distressed. "No, I can't stay," she insisted, quickly leaving the room. I moved to lie beside Wendy, who clung to me, her concern evident. "We need to help her, John. She's lost and needs support." "What can we do, though?" "She's her own person," I replied. Wendy shared Kelly's heartbreaking story, emphasizing her struggles and the need for our help. "We can't ignore this. If we don't help and we're okay, I'll never forgive myself." "What do you suggest?" "I'm not sure yet, but for now, I want her here with us, feeling loved." "Can you bring her back?" I kissed her gently. "I've never been able to refuse you." She smiled hopefully. "Please, for me." "Of course, my love." I found Kelly on the couch, wrapped in an afghan, tears in her eyes. I sat beside her, gently offering comfort. "Wendy wants you back with us. She cares deeply." Kelly hesitated. "I don't belong there." I lifted her, reassuring her. "Wendy wouldn't forgive me if I left you here. You're not what you think you are. You're someone special to us." I tried to lighten the mood. "Wendy sees something unique in you. Let's go back to her." "You're just complicating things," she said softly. "I don't want that at all," I reassured her. "My wish is for your happiness." "I don't deserve happiness," she mumbled. "Nonsense," I countered. "Everyone deserves happiness, especially someone as wonderful as you." Despite her protests, I carried her into the bedroom, where Wendy had prepared a cozy spot in the bed. I gently placed her there and joined them, turning off the lights. For the next while, we simply held her, offering gentle caresses and comforting kisses. It was a time of soothing and affection, not passion. Wendy whispered to me about the next day. "Are you going to work tomorrow?" "Yes, there are things I need to handle," I replied, dreading the thought of encountering certain colleagues. "If they give me any trouble, I might not be able to hold back." "Please, John, don't let it come to that." "Let me try to sort it out first," Wendy urged. Kelly, quietly laying beside us, ran her hand along my side in a comforting gesture. My hand rested gently on her, a reassuring presence. "Hopefully, it won't come to confrontation." "I don't see them often," I said, hoping for the best. Wendy was concerned about office gossip. "Do you think they know?" "I suspect some do, like Paul. He seemed aware that night at the party." She was worried about confidentiality, but Tom promised to keep it quiet. I questioned how certain events unfolded that night, suspecting Tom's involvement. Wendy realized her mistakes. "I really messed up, didn't I?" Kelly comforted her. "Yes, but we'll make it better now. Focus on that." I leaned over Kelly, giving Wendy a reassuring kiss. "Don't worry, we'll move forward from here." As I was close to Kelly, I gave her a gentle kiss. "I'm exhausted. It's been quite a weekend. Let's all get some rest." "I feel uncomfortable being in the middle," Kelly whispered. "Can we switch places?" After rearranging ourselves, I fell asleep, content with the warmth of their presence on either side, my arms wrapped around them both. It was a peaceful way to drift off. Waking up alone was a bit of a letdown. I had grown fond of waking up to affectionate mornings. I quickly got ready for the day, realizing I was running late due to the alarm not going off. When I reached the kitchen, Wendy and Kelly, both dressed in my t-shirts, were finishing up breakfast. Wendy greeted me with a hug and a kiss. "I was going to surprise you this morning, but you were already showering." "You're always welcome to join me," I said with a smile. We hadn't done things like that in a while. Wendy playfully lamented missing the opportunity. "I'll remember next time." It'll save water. Kelly approached, giving me a quick morning greeting. Thanks for last night. I slept really well. She went to set the table, and Wendy turned to me. Ask her to stay, John. I need her help today. I said in a light-hearted manner. You can't leave, Kelly. Wendy needs your help. Kelly looked serious. You don't need me. You have Wendy now. Please, stay, I urged gently. Wendy and I both want you here. Do you really have to leave? John, the longer I stay, the harder it gets, Kelly admitted. I don't want to interfere with you and Wendy. Wendy, busy with breakfast, chimed in. You're not interfering at all. In fact, you're bringing something positive. Please stay. I approached Kelly, who was seated, and gently massaged her shoulders. Just think about it. We both would like you here. I gave her a cheek kiss before sitting down. The atmosphere was light and cheerful as the girls chatted, reminiscing about Wendy's and my early days. I didn't linger over breakfast, quickly finishing up to prepare for work. I thanked Wendy with a kiss, who playfully insisted I thank Kelly too for her help in the kitchen. Approaching Kelly, I thanked her with a soft, appreciative kiss. Thanks for everything. She responded with a smile. You're welcome. Now go and have a good day at work. Leaving the house, I felt a mix of emotions about the day ahead. At the office, the day was uneventful. My role as a director kept me busy with various tasks, though I still liked to be hands-on with the projects. The day passed with the usual workload. During lunch, I took care of some personal errands, pondering over the situation at home. While I was open to helping Kelly, I was cautious about the potential impact on my marriage. Kelly's background made me consider the complexities of her situation, and I was mindful of balancing my desire to help with maintaining the stability of my relationship with Wendy. In my mind, I was still considering how to deal with Tom and the others involved in the situation. Tom, the instigator of the whole mess, seemed to deserve some kind of consequence. Some might argue it wasn't a big deal or that it wasn't entirely his fault, but I couldn't see it that way. To me, pursuing a married person, especially as a friend, was unacceptable, and Tom, with his own family and responsibilities, had crossed a line. On the drive home, I mulled over a few ideas for handling the situation, gradually forming a plan. When I arrived home, Wendy and Kelly were in the middle of a discussion in the family room. It wasn't heated, just a mild disagreement, and they stopped as I entered. They both greeted me in the hallway. Kelly's playful comment about my return from work was followed by a welcoming kiss. Wendy then embraced me, inviting me to relax and join them, mentioning they had done some shopping. After changing out of my suit, I went back to the family room, which was momentarily empty. Wendy, I called out. Just a second, love, she responded. She appeared soon after, dressed in an elegant black lace outfit, offering me a beer. I hope you don't mind the credit card used today, she said playfully. I couldn't help but laugh at her approach. You know how to soften the news. I can't be upset when you surprise me like this. Kelly then entered, holding a tray of snacks, dressed similarly to Wendy. I was impressed. That's quite a look you two have. Wendy moved closer. Do you like it? You're not upset. Upset? No way. A little lingerie shopping is never a problem. She chuckled. I'll hold you to that. Enjoy your drink. We'll be back soon. In a few moments, they returned, each wearing stylish bras and panties, Wendy in a striking red and Kelly in a soft pink. Both wore matching heels, red for Wendy and white for Kelly. I realized I don't dress up for you enough, Wendy began. These are for when we go out. I've got a couple more surprises for later. I hope you're not upset about the spending. I've been fortunate in my career with a stable job and financial comfort. I started as an intern at a small company, which had grown significantly over the years. With stock options and a good salary, we were in a comfortable financial position. It's absolutely worth it, I assured her. She twirled around, a bit shyly. Got some new shoes too. You should spend more on yourself, I encouraged her. We're doing fine financially. Enjoy it. She hesitated. The shoes were over $150. The price doesn't matter. They look great on you. Her expression turned sheepish. We might have spent a bit more than $1,000. I gestured for her to come over. It's okay. We might just budget a little tighter for our next trip. No big deal. We're still solid financially. Then the baby monitor sounded with cries. Wendy stood up quickly. I'll go check on the baby. As she left, Kelly took her place beside me. I feel bad about the spending. I'll help pay it back, she offered. No need, I reassured her. Consider it a token of our appreciation. She looked at me, puzzled. Why are you both so kind to me? We care about you, I replied. You've been a positive influence this weekend. You've helped us more than you know. Kelly observed how Wendy and I were clearly meant to be together. I hugged her, appreciating her insight and support, while Wendy's gentle voice echoed through the baby monitor, caring for our little one. Perhaps, I agreed with Kelly, but you played a positive role in this. It was a generous act, and it means a lot to us. Kelly nestled closer. I need to leave soon. It's getting harder to stay. Her words caught me off guard. Is it difficult being here? She nodded. Yes, seeing you and Wendy together. It's just a reminder of what I have to return to. And what is that? I asked, already knowing the answer. The usual, she said, taking care of myself with limited options. Wanting to help, I reached into my pocket and handed her an envelope with payment for the weekend. Then, I offered her another envelope. This should cover your needs for a bit longer. She was surprised by the amount. This is a lot. You've earned it, I told her, and there's more if you stay the week. She hesitated, saying it was too much. But I insisted, explaining the breakdown, a rate for the nights plus an additional daily amount. Tears welled up in her eyes. Why are you doing this? It's simple, I said. Because we want to, and we're in a position to help. Kelly quickly stood up as Wendy returned with our daughter, Jeannie, in her arms. Wendy handed Jeannie to me, and I was captivated by her joyful expression. I adored the way she would grasp my finger with her tiny hand, her grip growing stronger by the day. I softly kissed Jeannie's head, inhaling that unique and delightful baby scent. How's my little angel doing? I whispered to her. I noticed Wendy starting to remove her new bra. She caught my glance and smiled. Sorry, love. Jeannie needs to be fed, and she comes first right now. Kelly, standing nearby, watched me with Jeannie, her body language showing her unease. Can I hold her? She asked timidly. I carefully handed Jeannie over to Kelly, who cradled her gently, swaying slightly. She's beautiful, Kelly murmured. I chuckled. Of course, she takes after her mother. Kelly then handed Jeannie back to Wendy, who prepared to feed her. I saw a shadow cross Kelly's face, and Wendy noticed it too. What's wrong? Wendy asked, concerned. Kelly shook her head, trying to dismiss it. It's nothing. But Wendy pressed on, encouraging her to share. Kelly finally opened up, her emotions raw. She expressed her frustration and anger at how Wendy risked our family for fleeting moments. Her words highlighted the stark contrast between her own harsh life and the comfort and love in our family. Kelly abruptly left the room in tears, and I turned to Wendy, who was visibly shaken. She didn't mean to upset you, I reassured her. Wendy's eyes filled with tears. But she's right. I almost threw away everything. I don't even understand why. I comforted her. Quiet, you didn't lose it. We're here now, and that's what's important. Our family. Wendy nodded, her tears subsiding as she wiped them away. I'll earn your respect again. I promise you won't regret it. As I stood and embraced her, I reassured her, I've always been proud of you, Wendy. There's no regret as long as we're together. Her voice trembled. I don't deserve you. We're meant for each other, I replied. We're lucky to have found our soulmates. Our marriage is strong. Let's not doubt that. We've built this together. At that moment, Kelly re-entered the room, looking as she did when we first met, with a bag and 2 envelopes that she placed in front of me. I can't stay, she said. I wish you both the best. She started to leave. Wendy urged me, don't let her go, John. Please. I hesitated, knowing Kelly was her own person, but Wendy's plea was heartfelt. I'll talk to her, I said, following Kelly outside. Kelly sat on the stoop, huddled and forlorn. Please, come back inside. I can drive you, I offered. She initially resisted, but eventually agreed to come back in. Once inside, she faced Wendy. I'm sorry for what I said. It was out of line. Wendy accepted her apology. You were right, though. I did risk everything. It was a mistake, and I'm sorry for that. Please, just accept it, I insisted gently, placing the envelopes in her hand. It's the least I can do. I want you to be safe, to have a bit more comfort in your life. Kelly looked at the envelopes, a mix of gratitude and reluctance in her eyes. Thank you, John. This means a lot. I just want the best for you, I said sincerely. You deserve a chance at a better life. She nodded slowly, her eyes reflective. I'll never forget your kindness. I watched her for a moment, wishing there was more I could do. If you ever need anything, remember you can reach out. She gave a small smile, a hint of sadness still in her eyes. I will. Thank you for everything. With that, she stepped out of the car, clutching the envelopes, a symbol of a brief respite in her challenging life. I watched her walk towards the building, hoping that our paths might cross again under better circumstances. You absolutely can use this, I urged her, reinforcing the importance of the envelopes. Pay your rent in advance, get yourself something nice, maybe look for a stable job. This can be a stepping stone for you. She nodded, carefully placing the envelopes into her clutch. Wanting to offer her a lifeline, I pulled out my wallet and handed her my business card. If you ever need anything, or just want to talk, call me. Our home is always open to you. And please, keep Wendy updated about how you're doing. She cares about you a lot. She slipped the card into her bra, then suddenly hugged me tightly. Take good care of your daughter, John. Love her unconditionally. She needs you to be there for her, always. After planting a kiss on my cheek, she quickly got out of the car and left before I could respond. As I drove away, I watched her in the rearview mirror, silently hoping that her life would take a turn for the better. Despite my doubts, I clung to that hope. My comment: do you think OP is living in reality, or he is just living in some fog? I will finish this in the weekend. Hit that sub if you want to catch the final ending.